Werewolf Massacre, Carnage of the Night Creatures, a 2025, I think, semi-sequel to a 2015 movie, co-directed and written by James Baack. And this is a practically zero-budget horror comedy B-movie. The story, if it matters, kind of is about this couple of thieves that have been tasked to steal something that is protected by a group of werewolves, and along the way there's a variety of other kind of characters and situations that will pop up. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So doing this channel, I come across a variety of low budget B movies, and some of them are absolutely hidden gems. However, some of them are not. What's this one fall into? Okay, let's talk about what works in this movie's favour. Now, again, this is a very, very low budget movie, and it's clearly got its tongue in cheek. There's a couple of like fun lines and almost kind of references to pop culture. You know, there's talk of Bray Road, which is obviously has its kind of legends and stuff like that. There's a line lifted straight from Weird Science that I noticed. There's a couple of kind of like little kind of like lines of dialogue that I found amusing. There's also some really random scenes that, again, you can kind of almost enjoy just for the weirdness, like werewolves dancing in the nightclub, for example. So yeah, it's just really a collection of like silly scenes strung together with the barest minimum of plot, you might say. But some of the scenes, if you don't mind low budget fare, then you can kind of enjoy just for the kind of the absolute silliness. And there's no real attempt here to have a any type of kind of like genuine sort of threat or narrative or kind of realistic production. The kind of werewolves are just really just literal rubber masks bought from a shop. We even have a couple of instances where they've actually used toys and things like this. So again, you can kind of somewhat appreciate just the absolute homemade-ness of this movie, and you can kind of laugh along with it, I suppose. But if we're putting our critical hat on, we have to be kind of realistic and think this movie is not going to be for anyone outside of the kind of the trash cinema crowd, because it's not trying to be anything other than kind of trash cinema. But let's look at it more legitimately about why you probably won't enjoy this movie. I mean, I think the movie is one of these films which you could say it has a fun concept to a degree, but it's just stretched out too long. Again, and I've used this kind of phrase a few times, but this would probably have been better as a short, if we're being honest. The joke is far too stretched for a feature. Had it been a 15-minute short as part of an anthology, you could probably enjoy it for the silly kind of goofiness that it is, but for a feature-length movie, and it's not a short like feature either. It's it has a reasonable length to it. The joke far outstays its welcome, and there are scenes as well that just sort of are stretched out beyond their kind of natural kind of end time and just feel somewhat torturous to sit through, I have to say. The movie has no real clear direction. It just feels like it's been sort of thrown together, and they've broadly kind of just, had an idea about a story and just filmed a bunch of scenes and strung them together with a kind of like the really not a huge amount of thought behind it. Not that I would expect a movie like this to be a particularly well thought out movie necessarily, but it's just so meandering in regards to any type of narrative, and you can kind of arguably say, yeah, but it's a low-budget, schlocky B-movie. No one's really watching it for plot. Well, why are we watching it? I mean, even a low-budget B-movie can still be interesting. But this doesn't try to be. It's kind of like a joke. Hence why I say this movie would have been better as a kind of a short and things like that. The production value varies greatly through the movie, down to downright awful to maybe just about acceptable for a B-movie. You know, it kind of fluctuates like that. The editing is atrocious in this movie. There's some really kind of like abrasive edits, and I can't imagine it's done for like comedic effect. It's just poor editing, unfortunately. There's no, you never really get a kind of a feel like there's a central character per se. The movie just flits around with so many kind of like side characters and stuff like that. You never really feel like you're getting to know anyone or again following anyone. And again, you might say, oh, well, it's something, no, it's a B movie, it's not meant to be like that. But again, I can understand that. I watch B movies, but you know, you still want to have a someone who you can kind of like follow their journey on, and you don't really get that here. Some of the jokes I found amusing, but a lot of them, I mean, humour is very subjective. It's one of the hardest elements to really get right, because everyone has a different kind of opinion on jokes and humour and stuff. So it's actually one of the hardest type of movies to make. And I think, you know, when you have this sort of style of movie, which is very much a B movie, you know, low budget, low brow horror, it's going to be like, not everyone's going to find the majority of these jokes particularly funny or amusing. And although I found one or two, it's again, sometimes it just feels like, you know, somewhat of a struggle to kind of sit through. I have to be honest with you. No one's expecting good acting here, and you're not going to get it. No, again, fine, I can accept this as a B movie, but there's clearly been like just shooting from the hip and stuff like that. So that just the general production here is extremely kind of low budget and homemade. This genuinely looks like a homemade film. And, you know, why would you watch it? I mean, why, unless you are kind of really friends of the people involved, or you're just into real trash cinema and you want to have it on in the background, something like that. I can't genuinely say there's a reason to really watch it. To be honest with you, legitimately, to be fair, I'm gonna have to say this is a 2 out of 10. It's just, there's not really anything here I can say that is legitimately a reason for you to kind of watch this, unless you are just wanting to watch the absolute bottom of the barrel in regards to cinema. So yeah, 2 out of 10 for me. Would you see it? Despite what I've told you, please do let me know, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.